Okay, let's try this again. I'm Melanie Cobley with Endorphin Junkies, Release Your Endorphins. And today I am coming live to talk about land navigation with you guys. And today would be essentially lesson 1, where I am just starting out with the basics of how to read a map. So I have with me a map that we ordered from mytopo.com. And it has a section of the North Country Trail on it. So I'm just going to go over some of the details about this map and what the legends and the keys mean, and what all the contour lines and all of that good stuff means with you guys, just to give you a brief overview of the typical things that you see on a map. Now, not all maps are the same. Some maps have different colors, and their legends are a little bit different, but in a nutshell, for the most part, these are the typical things that you see on a map. Okay, so I have a topographical map with me, and this is a map that we use when we go hiking in our area for the North Country Trail, like I said. Okay, so I'm going to switch it over, and I'm going to talk to you guys about what the different colors on the maps typically mean. So I'm just going to switch over to the map so that you're able to see it. Maybe. Alright, so this is our map, and as you can see, the majority of it has green colors on it, and there's some blue. Now, the green indicates vegetation, blue indicates water. There's some little black dots on here. I'll zoom in a minute to show you. Those indicate like man-made things or structures. And all of the lines, like you can see these contour lines here. They're like a reddish brown color, and typically that is the color that most contour lines are on a map. So here, let's see if I can get in there so that you guys can see it. There's little black dots here, and that indicates that there's man-made structures there, possibly houses. Most likely that's what it is. So that kind of goes over the basic colors, and when I get down to my next section, the bottom of the map, which is usually where you find your legend and all of your other information that you need. Move back here. So as you can see, the name of our map, we named it North Country Trail number 1. This looks like it was the first section of the North Country Trail that we were going to go hiking on. You can kind of see we actually highlighted the North Country Trail on our map. But and then you have here, this is the company that produced the map. Then you have an area here that says the vicinity of the map, which gives you a very broad area. So, I mean, you can see that it's close to the Pennsylvania-New York border. Then we have source map information. So, what this little area tells us, you see this little red square in here? This shows us that our map up here actually contains 6 different areas. So area 1 indicates that it is Steenberg. Okay, so we have part of Steenberg on our map, which is the very, very top of it. And this here, the date, 1980, indicates the year that the map was created for that area. So you can see map 2, the Red House area, and that was created in 1980. So the bulk of our map lies in areas 3 and 4, which if we go over here you can see is Corn Planter Run and Stickney. And those were both from 1973. And then 5 and 6, you have Corn Planter Bridge and Westline. So that just gives you an idea of the areas that the map is covering. Now we're going to move over to the next section here. We have our north arrows. So you can see these numbers on here. You have MN, GN, if I can get my camera to focus, and TN. So the MN indicates magnetic north. So magnetic north is the direction that your compass is going to point north. Grid north is the direction for the map. Like when you're holding it, north is this way on the map. And true north, that indicates where true north lies, which your magnetic north, your grid north, are different from what true north is. So typically most people use magnetic north or compass north for navigation. That is usually that's the most used way. True north and grid north usually aren't the common ways that people navigate. You can see there's degrees here, so true north has a 1 degree, magnetic north has 11 degrees on it, which this is a little bit more technical, and when we go into covering the compass, this is something that I will go over with you guys. So we're going to come down here a little bit more, and here you can see, I'm so sorry about the focus. Okay, our scale of a map is 1/25,000. So the scales actually vary by maps, and what the scale is the size of your grid lines. So the larger your scale, the smaller your grid lines are going to be. So if your scale said 1/65,000, these grid lines would be much smaller, and it would show less detail. So this 1/25,000 is showing more detail than a map that is scaled to 1/65,000. What else do we have on here? Okay, and then we have a little measurement guide here. We have 1 mile and 1 kilometer. So this comes in useful if you need to measure the distance between 2 points. And that goes in, that ties to the scale of the map also. And then down here, you see this 1,000 meter UTM, USNG, MGRS, the grid zone designation. That's the part that you should pay attention to. So the grid zone designation will show you or tell you what area of the earth your map is in. So if you are ever in a situation that you need to call for help and you need to call like Universal 911, or you're not 100% sure of exactly what area you're in, this number on your map, because that's going to tell rescue people what area they need to start looking in. Okay, now over here we have our land status legend. So this area is going to vary greatly map by map. As you can see on here, there's a bunch of different colors, and these colors all indicate like the yellow is a public lands and monuments area. So you would see a shaded section on the map if there were any public lands and monuments located on it. So this orange one I'm going to show you, Indian lands or reservations. So we actually have one of those on the map up here, way at the top, up in New York. So it's hard to see the color. It doesn't really look orange to me, but it is part of an Indian reservation up here. So those are important things to pay attention to if you're out navigating in an area that you're not familiar with, because there are white areas too on this map that indicate private land. So if you come cross an area like that on your map where it's shaded white, you know that it's private land and you don't want to go on it. Okay, so for the grid lines, there are actually two different systems that are most commonly used for them. One is longitude and latitude, which has degrees, minutes, and seconds on it. And then the military grid reference system, which is the system that we have on this map. The military grid reference system does not use longitude and latitude for its coordinates. It just uses, let's see if I can get close enough. So you can see here's 46, 38. So this whole map is 36 with or 46 with a number, and at the bottom you have this whole bottom part is 6 with a number, so it starts 669 up to 682, and on this side it's 4634 to 4652. And these are something that we'll get into more detail later on, because I know when you use the compass to locate a point on the map, you can get pretty specific when you're using the proper equipment, which is something we will talk about later. But the military grid reference system, each one of these squares indicates that it is 1,000 square meters. So it's 1,000 by 1,000 by 1,000 by 1,000. So within this one square, if you walked from here to here in a straight line, you would have walked 1,000 meters. So the military system kind of has uses their own grid across the entire Earth to come up with their numbers. It's a little bit different than the longitude latitude, which, give me a moment and I'll get a map out and show you what one of those looks like. But for the sake of my tutorials with you guys, I learned how to navigate using the military system, not the civilian, which is something that my husband taught me and is currently actually teaching me too. So this little lesson kind of reinforces everything that he's been teaching me, which is pretty cool. So some common scale sizes. You heard me mention that our map is 1/25,000. The most common sizes are 1/24,000, 1/50,000, and 1/62,500. So those are the most common sizes. I think our map is 1/25,000, probably more in an effort to fit as much of the North Country Trail in as we could for this section. But like if you get on my topo, there's a lot of really cool things you can do on there to create your own maps and come up with like new areas to go hiking in, and there's pre-made maps. It's a pretty neat site. So our contour lines, what do those mean? So if you look at some of these, you can see some of them are really close together and some of them are further apart. Well, on our map, between each contour line is 20 feet. So if I can get close enough to show you one. Hey guys, if you were on and watching, I apologize. Facebook and my internet decided that it was going to interrupt my broadcast and kick me off. So I only had a little bit left to cover, and instead of going through and doing the entire live series again and going over all of that information again, I'm just going to finish it up with you guys on a second live video. So I'm really sorry about that, and I will be doing a blog post here later on that will cover everything that I went over on the live, okay? It just won't have detailed illustrations like I was trying to show you as I went through talking about stuff. Alright, so I'm going to go back to, I was talking about contour lines. So we're just going to kind of pick up there again, okay? So I'm going to go back to the map. And what I was telling you about the contour lines is that on this map, they are 20 feet apart. So I know that because that information is actually down here at the bottom of the map. You see this in parentheses, it says contour int. Well, it's contour intervals of 20 feet. So for each of these sections, the contour intervals are 20 feet. I was trying to get close enough so that I could show you an example. So we'll use this one, hopefully. Okay, so right here, this contour line, the distance between this contour line and this contour line is 20 feet. If you come down a little bit further, the distance between this contour line right here and this one is also 20 feet. But as you can see, some of these contour lines are closer together. They're still 20 feet apart, but the closer together they are, the steeper the incline is for them. So if we move over here to this area, you can see these contour lines are really close together. So there's 20 feet in between each one of these contour lines. So that means that this is a fairly steep hill. And as you come up further, you can see that there's areas that it kind of levels off. And all the way up here, you can see that you've reached the top of the hill and it's fairly flat. The surface up here is fairly flat because the contour lines aren't quite as close together. So some of the contour lines on this map are easier to see and harder to see. Some of them are kind of faint. Like down here, you can see this is a fairly steep area through here. And then as you climb up, it gets less and less steep and levels off. Okay, so that is my little brief overview of maps and how to read them. So I'm going to come back to me. So that's just the very, very basics of what the typical information that you will find on a map is. So I'm not going to dig out the map that has the civilian grid system on it. I will dig that out tomorrow for you guys and have it ready to show you the difference. I don't want to be on here any longer and go over any more stuff because I'm afraid I'm going to get kicked off. So I will be coming back tomorrow about the same time, maybe a little bit earlier. And tomorrow we are going to cover using a compass. So we're going to do all of these series and segments. So first we're going to cover the map. Next we're going to cover compasses and using compasses, like what all the information is on them, and some ways that you could use a compass if you don't have a map or your map somehow gets ruined when you're out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Feel free to leave any questions that you might have about any of the information that I went over. You can comment on this video or the other video, wherever your questions may lie. Please do so, and I will answer them tomorrow, first thing on the live. And when I post the blog, like I said, I'll go over all of this information again and have some details on there about it. I'll try to do some illustrations, but most likely I won't really have any for the blog. So, thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you had a great Monday. I will see you all tomorrow.